assigned to earth at this time to guide us and to lead us and to intervene if necessary, to keep us on the course toward healing and oneness and the activating of divine plan and divine purpose and all things. We pray for all of those who are stepping up to run for offices, whether we agree or disagree with them. We bring them before the heart of the Father, Mother, God. Open their hearts and minds even above their own agendas. We ask this in the name of the loving and living Christ. And so it is.
So it is.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Wednesday morning class as we continue to navigate through this idea of the power of self-knowledge and how that it can affect everything in our lives, including slowing down or at some point reversing the aging process. When you make statements like that, I know you're going against thousands and thousands of years of thinking that has become so powerful and so collective that it seems insurmountable, non-changeable, set, but it is not. Nothing is set. And that's one thing the quantum world has shown us, is nothing is near set and solid as we thought it was. But everything is in fluctuation and motion, constantly in change. So for us to buy into any kind of a mental construct that tells us this is the way it is, this is the way it always will be, are not being true to our spiritual nature. Our spiritual nature is always in finding the so-called dance of transformation and change of life in that way. So a little bit more in chapter 5. I was going to go to 6, but I'd really like for us to just stay one more time in chapter 5. You that have your book, it's page 23. It is titled Thinking and the Physical Body. And we've done a lot of teaching. There's certain themes that run through the teachings of this book, and it's a lot to do with thinking and our thoughts and how that they form belief systems and perceptions. We've talked a lot about the difference in thinking and innate intelligence. I always want to remind you that every one of you come in with the innate intelligence to live a full incarnation to its optimum. That means actually living a lifetime and at the end feeling fulfilled about it. That would be my goal. If that's the way that I have to go, I would like to feel I have done everything that I was called and came to do. I was true to it. I did not compromise myself to it. And in areas in which I made little detours, that I tried to learn from each of those times to end up to finding more empowerment for myself and say, I regret. I think the song that I would have is, I did it my way. There's too much regret out there. Oh, I just wish I had done this. Oh, I wish I hadn't have got into that marriage or this relationship, or I wish I'd have gone to school, or I wish you hear so many people who feel less. And it's because they've not tapped into their innate intelligence, their purpose. So we've talked a lot about that. So I'm going to start on page 23 at the last paragraph. Therefore, in order to reverse the aging process, we must change the nature of our thinking. Nature of our thinking. What is nature of our thinking? Anybody know?
I'm not you and you're not me.
I like that. All right, let's look on in the back in your glossary under nature. I numbered mine. They weren't numbered. It's number 18, but it's under in nature. Nature is the materialization of the life force energies in the form of electromagnetic impulses which constitute growth evolvement on the physical plane. When this bond is formed, all functions of life involved are performed by the life force energies of that life to the extent of consciousness and in abundance with the laws of the universe as they apply to nature. Now, that's a lot of words that just merely says those who are in alignment with their divine nature and purpose will create an electromagnetic impulses that will attract to them everything that they came to accomplish in a lifetime.
AKA manifestation.
Will be completely through spiritual law in that way. Now it goes down and it says nature units. If you see that, are transit electromagnetic impulses of energy. While streams of these units are passing through a human body, the individual, by thinking, disperses some of the light with the nature units. With this is the light that stimulates the materialized side of nature units, keeps nature going in an instinct natural selection chemical. What that is saying is it should be, some of the things that we're seeking are not natural yet to us. Sometimes getting anger is more natural than trying to love unconditionally. Which one are you going to work harder at? You don't have to work hard at getting angry. It's an impulse. Somebody just piss you off like that. Or you hear some politician or somebody you don't like say something, you're there. You don't have to sit and make that happen because that becomes a part of the human nature to react to certain things. But wonder if you could replace that nature with all of a sudden somebody says something to me or does something to me, and all I feel is this overwhelming compassion and this love that overwhelms me instead of the anger. So it's talking about what is natural for you. Is love natural or is fear natural? Is joy and natural or is depression? Maybe it's easy to find yourself into depressed or anxiety or something like that. This is very natural for a lot of people. And then maybe you're metaphysical, so you go, oh, well, no, just a minute, I'm not supposed to feel that way, and you're trying to talk yourself into not. That means that you're going against nature. You're going against nature. You're trying to talk yourself into something that doesn't feel natural to you, and that's what this is talking about. You have to change the nature of thinking. So all of you, just for a minute, just think about what's some of the impulses that you have that's easy for you. I mean, you don't have to say them out loud or anything, but I can go to the glass is half empty mood thing because that's kind of the nature I picked up through my family and my mother and whatever, you know. My mother was scared of everything. You know, she had a lot of fear, and therefore it could be very natural for me to go there. I don't have to work at it. All I have to do is just have a stimuli that stimulates it, and then I respond to it that way, just like. But to be loving and understanding and not judgment, I'm working way too hard for that because I haven't made it the nature of my thinking. Are we okay so I can move on from that? So until it is natural for you to love, Natural for you to find peace that passes understanding. Natural for you to not judge. Then you've not changed the nature of your thought. And that's where metaphysics falls short, because all they want you to do is change the thought and not the nature of the thought. And that's what's beautiful here that he has come into. So let me read it again. For us to reverse the aging process, we must change the nature of our thinking. This is done simply by changing the source of information. So these are not new things. We're kind of just going around the same things. But you that are, whatever your sources are for your knowledge and information, it could be everything from reading the daily word every day. It could be, I doubt seriously you all are reading the Bible every day. But whatever you're reading or listening to Bruce Lipton or David Hulse, I don't care where you're getting it, outside of you, if your sourcing is all outside of you, it has not been made self-knowledge. And I won't find that, but it talked about how we do that is by reading things, studying. Every one of you should be active. I hope you're not spending the whole week without doing some kind of reading or listening to a good talk or something like that. I mean, you got information at your fingertips. You need to be doing some of that. And the reason is because you've got to find something out here that's going to resonate what's already in here. That's why I don't sit down and read books. I have no desire to start a book in the beginning and read it all the way through. Never have. Because I'm not looking for the book, I'm looking for what's in the book that's going to activate what's in this book. Does anybody happen to remember where God's book is? Now, these are things I've taught for 4 years. Where is God's book? Remember I told you, they told me the Bible is God's book. That's the book of God. No, the Bible is man's book about God. But I was looking for God's book about man. I want you to use a Bible reference. The Bible will give you the answer that it's not the book, but it will tell you where the book is if you read it right.
Oh, it's coded.
Revelations 5 and 1. And I, John, was in the Spirit. There's the key. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and that means a point in time and space in which a window opens. And he said, I saw one sitting on the throne, power, who had a book written within with 7 seals. You see, the Bible has been very helpful to me. I don't know why y'all just scared to death, read the Bible. It's like it's something bad's going to happen to you if you pick up a Bible and read it. But how do you know that there's things in the Bible that's the very thing, that's the only thing that's going to activate some of your innate intelligence? Don't limit yourself to anything. So the book is written within. That's God's book about us. The Bible is man's book about God. So this is done simply by changing the source of the information for daily thoughts from sense knowledge to self-knowledge. Now, Bonnie shared with us the teachings of the 7 years of the development that Bruce Lipton teaches. And he says a lot of things, but she connected to that. Now that's her self-knowledge. It's not Bruce's or mine. It's Bonnie's. And Bonnie now has the electronic keynote on that self-knowledge. Let's see if there's a definition for that. Electronic, EL. Yeah, okay. Electronic keynote. Again, that's not numbered, but it's page 8. You should number these back glossary pages. It'd be much easier for you. It's down at the very bottom. Electronic keynote is the individual's coded energy seal that identifies them as an individual as long as he is individualized. Oh my God, that is so good. When you talk about the I am, when you talk about the I am that we all are, the one, you're talking about something infinite that individualized itself as you. But what has happened is you didn't become what was individualized, you became an individual. And that's why people say there's nobody like you. We're all different because we're all a different individual. But in all that different individual, because individual can be, say, personality. That's what it's from the word mask. Persona, mask. Every one of you have developed a sense of yourself that is your personality, that makes you individual. But in that individual is the individualization of the one infinite. So an electronic keynote is your coded energy that nobody else has, that's been given to you because you've become the individual. Now this is why the law of karma can find you. If you stayed in the oneness state of being one with everything in which there is no separation, your reaction could not find the action because it would not know where it should go. But once you have been given this electronic keynote, karma can always find you. What you put out comes back. I don't want what you put out to come back on me. And you don't want I put come out on you. You want your own. Work out your own salvation, the scripture says. Work out your own salvation. I can't save you. You can't save me. Jesus can't save you either. The only person to save yourself is you. How? Change the nature of your thinking. And changing the nature of your thinking, also using properly the electronic keynote to bring in those things that are only in divine alignment with your spiritual incarnation into the body realm. Anytime he uses this creative energy, the results always contain the electronic keynote. The electronic keynote identifies the creator. Now that's with a little c. It's not creator big C. Your creator little c. God is big creator big C. I want you to notice that in some of these things, what is capitalized and what is not. What is not just merely means it's an individualized expression of that which it comes from. The electronic keynote identifies the creator, the seed of what? Responsibility. Oh, there's that R word that we just don't like. We just don't want to step up and take the responsibility of creating or co-creating our own lives and our destinies. The seed of responsibility and the processor of every thought act as a thing in the universe. Now, people ask me at this point, what is my electric keynote? I have no idea. And I don't know mine either. And I don't think we're supposed to know it egoically, because I think that's something that has to be kept a mystery from the ego. There's some things that need to be in the mystery. Because the minute the ego gets it, it will rewrite it and rechange it and insert its venom. Its venom. This is the serpent in the garden. Oh yeah, the serpent in the garden. It's not a snake wrapped around a tree, and there's no apple, and there's none of that stuff there. The serpent comes from the word in the Hebrew that means enchanter, whisper, a whisper of a hypnotic state. And it wrapped itself around the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is your limbic system. And it put its venom in, and the venom was, I'm not you, you're not me. And the seed of separation was conceived in the woman. Sorry, but it just happened to be in the woman, but it's not the woman, it's the soul. Because that's what she does. He could not have received it first because he doesn't know how to make a baby. Why would the serpent go to him when she's the one that knows how to conceive and make things? And then she birthed it and gave it to him. So I know this is touchy because, this woman thing. I'm not talking about women in the body. I'm talking about a feminine. I'm talking about the suke, the soul, the psyche, the feminine aspect of the mind received the seed of the knowledge of good and evil. Good and evil. Good and evil. Right there, duality became separation. You're either this or you're either that. And that's why I teach that the soul, she, suke, became split. We call this a split mind. The words in the Bible for it is spiritual mind and carnal mind. To be spiritually minded is life, to be carnally minded is death. What that means is that part of her, the soul, stayed with him, the pneuma or the spirit. Part of it said, no, I'm going with the body. So this is what has to be healed, is the split in the soul or the split in the mind of mankind. And I've told you there is no need for the spirit to incarnate or reincarnate at all. What else can you add to your spirit identity? Nothing. You can't take away from it. You can't add to it. It is that which it is. It is the I am that I am. Done. And the part of the soul that fell, Here's the fall. The fall was into the world of materialism, body identity. I am a body, and I forgot I was a spirit, so now I've got religions that says they can give it to me what I don't have. So the religion comes along and says, we've got it for you. Do you get that? Because we forgot we already had it. And in the absence of forgetting what we had, religion shows up and says, we've got it for you. I thought that. I mean, when I got the baptism of the Holy Spirit, I thought I got something I didn't have, and that wasn't true at all. I had it all along. They didn't give me anything other than some teaching and things that helped me to understand that by opening myself up, I could open myself up to a higher aspect of myself called my spirit self. But I was always my spirit self. You can't give me spirit. I am spirit. Are you with me? I am spirit. But I didn't know that, and because I was living so much in my lower soul part, that I lived in a belief of lack. I don't have it. I need to get it. Who can give it to me? And therefore I become vulnerable to those who say they have the answer for me outside of myself. Whoa, and that's the beauty of my story, is I didn't fall down that rabbit hole. I didn't put all my power to them. And you know, and the reason I didn't is because I made sure I wouldn't by the contract I made before I incarnated. These things that I share with you once in a while of being humiliated in a religious group or a church or something like that, don't feel sorry for me at all. They were the evolutionary drivers of my life. I wouldn't be where I was if it hadn't been for the so-called embarrassing, horrible things that happened to me and people turning on me and preachers doing what they did to me. All of that was moving me along and saying, you cannot pitch your tent here before the promised land. I'm going to keep you on the move, brother. And I did. I just kept moving on until I moved right to 7300 Mallard Creek Road here in Charlotte, North Carolina. But I'm here because of all those steps that were made in some way. I hope you get what I'm saying. If not, just feel what I'm saying to you. So we do have this unique code that is given to us. So this is done by changing the source of information, the source being who is your source, who is your father. Remember, who's your daddy? Either your spirit is fathering it or your ego is fathering it. Jesus said to those of the Old Testament, you're of your father, the adversary. My father seeketh you. You're of your father, my father seeketh you. You're of your father, the adversary. I've got a new father, a source. You don't have to get your information on laws written on tables of stone. So he shifted. One of the great shifts from this source to this source 2,000 years ago was a phenomenon. See, Jesus said, I'm not here to teach about spirit and have workshops about spirit. I'm here to tell you my words are spirit. Spirit is here. It says it has to be done with our daily thoughts. Make sure, give us this day our daily bread. Give us our daily bread. Are you eating bread? And Jesus, it's recorded that Jesus said, I am the bread which cometh down from heaven. What he's saying, are you eating of the essence and the substance of your being? Are you communicate with the substance of your being? Are you feeding the substance of your being? Because bread is substance. Bread was so phenomenal in the days. Nobody would left home without some bread in their pocket. To meet a stranger, to find somebody, was to offer them bread, substance. Daily thoughts. From sense knowledge to self-knowledge, the power, the results and control of our thinking is determined solely upon the source of the intelligence applied to the thought. Now what this means, you've got to practice being more the observer of your thinking process. You've got to get outside yourself. Talk about an out-of-body experience. Huh? I heard it in Julie's meditation, trying to get us to move out. Get out of this confined space. Move out into your etheric, into your energy body. It says, let me repeat that. The power, the results, and the control of our thinking is determined solely by the source of the intelligence applied to the thought. Don't let the thought be the originator. You, the observer, must originate and observe the thought. Because here's quantum physics. What is it? For the observer changes the thought. The observer has the power that what it observes, it changes. Probably the request that is asked most often in regard to this chapter is to explain the process of thinking. To understand the process of thinking, we should have a general idea of its origin, function, and physical focal point. When we know these three aspects of something, then we can have a pretty good comprehension of its purpose, because the nature of our thinking determines the nature of our condition. Whoa. Let's look at it again. What does it say? When we know these aspects, because the nature of our thinking determines the nature of our condition. What happens to us and how we can change all aspects of our life, it makes an excellent concept to hold in focus, and focus, that's our word for contemplation, focus our thinking. Then we are able to correct any situation in our life. Rewriting the code. Rewriting the code. Wow. The process of thinking came into existence on the planet Earth as a result of the so-called fall of man. Prior to this time, identity of mankind was full in the consciousness of reality of totality. We're on page 724 on the second paragraph. He was individualized, given a name, and an electronic keynote, but his identity was still maintained in the reality of all consciousness, all as one. You see, you can't change that. You can't change what has been done in the realm of creation. Creation is very successful, and that's why we try to come here on Sunday morning and try to celebrate from that level, because I think it's hard sometimes to celebrate the fact that we have so many people that have physical challenges right now. It really isn't inspiring. So I got to get above that. We got to go somewhere else. There's an old song I used to sing, "Come up hither in the sun realm where no dragons here abide." So the music, everything that we're trying to do is not to entertain you. We're trying to use music and vibration and sound to raise you up above sensory, right? Above the sensory perception of illness and sickness and aging and all the stuff that is in this dimension. We have options now. We're not stuck with one station on the television. We can change the channel completely. And once we do that, then we can get to a place and not be wrong in saying, I am whole. I am healthy. I am blessed. I am prosperous. Again, it says, let the weak say they are strong. Not the strong saying I am strong. Let the weak say I am strong. Because I am and strong will become. And right now, we need to be strong in our faith, strong in our vision, and in our faith in that way. This change in awareness of consciousness was allowed to develop in the minds of the perfect beings, what he calls the fourth race. It gets into a lot of stuff I don't think we want to go into right now, so I'm not going to go there. Go to the last paragraph on page 24. Thus, the vibratory frequency of the intelligence being processed while the individual's identity was in form reality became lower, denser, and more in favor of his own gain rather than the race as a whole. The mind was instructed to draw primal life from the elemental kingdom and create an entity within the conscious range of processing this information in a manner in which would not disturb, influence, or interrupt the vibratory frequency of itself and the rest of the mind as it is carried out in voluntary function of the biological. This entity is called ego. So what was all that? It's a bunch of words, I know, that I just read to you. So what this is talking about is that at a certain vibratory frequency, divine intelligence always holds its identity. But in the lower realms of the mundane, third-dimensional human, we are apt to often change through perception that frequency of divine intelligence. And it's from this place that things become separated. I'm very careful to use divided and separated. I'm not so against things dividing as I am things separating. To me, it has two different feelings to me. I think that we are the individualized division of the one God, but the brain has become separate. Right? If you think about it, let's think about a piece of apple pie, and you cut the apple pie into 8 pieces, and people start thinking, okay, if you get a piece of apple pie, that's less for me. So we fight over the apple pie because you get more, I get less. And wars are fought and all kinds of things. The real truth is, the answer is in the recipe that made the pie. If everybody had the recipe of the pie, you'd never run out of the apple pie. You could just keep making them. And that's what we've lost, the divine recipe to our divinity. How do we constantly, instantly reproduce ourselves as a divine created being in all of the circumstances of human illusion? So let's go to the last. I'm going to open this up because we got some time this morning. And I want you to talk to me and share with me. But let's go to the last paragraph on page 26. The contemplation of an aspect can be pursued for several moments, hours, days, or weeks, depending on the intention. Intention drives everything. Intention drives energy. Intention is the vehicle for thought, whether it is human thought or divine thought. It will produce itself through intention. Intention gives it direction. So, whether you do it for a moment, hours, days, or weeks, depends on the intention, desires, and feelings expanded by the individual. The more this method of learning is used by the aspirant, the less conscious effort is required. In fact, it soon becomes one's new way of thinking. It's just back to everything I've been saying to you, the changing of the nature. By holding these outside assumptions in the focus of our mind's attention through the magical energy of expanded creative imagination, we establish self-knowledge in the higher mental atmosphere of the brain that becomes what? Our truth. What is my truth? I mean, that caught on so much. And I don't know if Oprah started it, but I just know that's when we first started hearing it. Speaking your truth. It caught on like wildfire. Everybody was using this term, speaking your truth. When I first started in Soul Energetics, one of the most closed chakras that I found was the throat chakra in people, and especially in women and older women. This is way back 22 years ago. I was living in Illinois. I was going back and forth from Peoria and Decatur with two churches. And I was doing this 80-some-year-old lady that wanted to have a tuning. And I got to her throat chakra, and it was just so shut down. I mean, the fork was like going through molasses or something. It just wouldn't do it. And it came to me to have her to do a sound, because I thought maybe that'll help. Maybe if I can get a vibration out of her, it might break through. And she was like going, at first it was nothing, and then it was just that. And I was working with that soul fork, I believe it is, the blue one, and I was working trying to clear out that chakra, and nothing was happening. And I just felt so determined, and something just rose up in me, and I said, make a sound for every woman in the world that has ever been suppressed and told to be still and submissive to a man. And she went, oh! It just worked for her that way. I mean, she just became so determined to break through that years and years, and maybe lifetimes, of shutting down and not speaking her truth and her power and giving herself away to this man world that maybe she's lived in through her generation, that it was such an amazing experience for her to have that experience. And after that, we couldn't shut her up. She wanted to talk all the time. And I've seen that so many, many times. So this talks about, it doesn't matter. Course in Miracles says, give me 5 minutes a couple of times a day. Transcendental Meditation says 20 minutes twice a day. It doesn't matter. It's the intention in which you are coming from in the sense of your spiritual exercises. So, what I want to ask some of you to share is, what are some of your spiritual exercises that you do, if any, as far as during the week or during your own time? And if you don't, you can tell us that too, and we'll talk about that. Bonnie?
Well, I always have trouble falling asleep. So I was listening to Tom Hartman, and he was talking about mindfulness and how to get to mindfulness, and he said, do the breathing and then be still. And if a thought comes up, just say, hey, that's a thought, I'm getting rid of it. And I did it, and I was able to fall asleep.
Good.
So, I mean, it took a little while, I didn't just like that, it took about 30 minutes, but I fell asleep.
Good. Thank you. One thing I would offer you about things like that is don't resist the thought. The worst thing you can do is resist the thought, like, get out of here, I don't want you, whatever. Just let the thought be what it is.
I'm trying to go to sleep, so
Yeah.
I'm going to get rid of it.
But you're not. Thoughts are not going to stop. Thoughts are constantly in the head all the time. So you just, you're just a thought. You're just a thought that will pass away, another thought will come. Just thoughts, you know. And I think the more that you pull away from any resistance from it, you disempower it and it diminishes. Somebody else. Christy?
I talk to all the organs and glands and blood and bones of my body and give them love every day.
Perfect. And there is science proof that you can change even the shape of an atom by speaking to it and showing love. So I think that's true body talk. I know there's something out there called body talk, but I think we all should talk to our body. And I think we should talk to the parts of our body that don't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it seems the pain and what's wrong gets our attention, and we just take for granted parts of our body that doesn't bother us. But be grateful and loving and talk to those parts of your body too.
And I give thanks and gratitude.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. Somebody else. Yes.
Every morning I usually drink water, and I usually speak my intentions of what I would like to gain from the water. So I'll either say help provide me healing or help raise my vibrations. Also, when I take a shower or bath, I usually speak my intentions into the water as well.
Great. Water is a great conduit since we're, 80% water or something like that. It's very important. We have a thing with this fork over here, the gold fork, the me fork. People use it over water. Yeah, and we can show how it releases energy in the water molecule. You can put it in your bath water and soak in the 528 frequency. On vegetables in the kitchen. A lot of people buy a separate 528 just to keep in the kitchen because it has to do with changing the six-sided water molecule and releasing into it. So the fact that you're so element conscious that now the first thing I do, I keep water by my bed. Before I do anything, I drink water. Drink water. First thing, before you do anything, drink some water because your body really needs water at that time. And water is a great carrier of vibration and frequency. Yeah, thank you. That's great. Somebody else share what is your practice?
My going to sleep practice is kind of by way of a devotion to the world around me. Pick a person, an issue, a group, something like that, and visualize it being bathed in light from a distance, and then bringing it close to me so that I'm not using my energy for it. I'm using spiritual God energy, light, whatever, but I'm bringing it close to me to share with that.
Oh, beautiful. Very nice. Thank you. Yes.
Talking about bedtime activities, usually not every night, but most nights, when I'm trying to go to sleep, I do a gratitude list. And often I fall asleep before I get finished.
But you finish.
It's a really easy way to get to sleep.
That's a great idea.
I also have a little mantra that I do in the mornings, every morning.
Okay.
It's an I am.
Yes, and we all should have one. Drink water and do a mantra and set the day. The course of the day, absolutely. Julie.
So I do a combination of sitting meditation, writing affirmative I am statements, and yoga, because for me that connects my body, soul, and mind. It's activating everything with my intention.
Yes, I think we really are all missing it who do not do some kind of journaling or writing. There's just something powerful about between the critical mind and writing. And if you've never tried it, write it with your non-dominant hand once in a while. Yeah, and look like that 8-year-old child or whatever in you with that. It's very effective and very powerful. Yes.
I get up at 4 or 5 and meditate, journal, and read for several hours of this stuff, or from 3 to 5D, and try to make it my own. But there's just so much knowledge in here that it's, you know, it's difficult. But I love that. I mean, I think my whole life is actually, right now, I don't leave the house practically at all, is just trying to not get more knowledge, but assimilate, understand what I already have, and try to understand, you know, this is the reality I created through my beliefs, and what are they, and, you know, that's a full-time job.
It is. It is. It totally is. Yeah. Thank you. That's great. You have a.
I wanted to say something too about the process of actually sitting, meditation in stillness, contacting the I am presence within each of us. You were mentioning the need for physical healing, and I know over the 23 years that I've had my daily mystical practice, that alone has generated so many healings, emotional and psychological healings. Believe me, when I came into adulthood, I'm 63 now, when I entered adulthood, I couldn't speak because I had been so, like, just traumatized by what I was seeing in my pastor's family. My dad was a pastor, but there was a lot of stuff going on. So I came in traumatized, and as you can see, I can speak well now and love to speak like your 80-year-old woman. I can just relate. But that healing, none of those, and then also diagnoses. I've actually had the experience of diagnoses disappearing from doctors' folders, and it's kind of like the universe, God was just like winking at me. You know, it's like, because it disappeared with the actual symptom. Joint issues, I've had them reverse, and really, I've not had the financial means to do like a lot of, you know, modalities or that I would have loved to do, but that alone has been my power. And so I just want to say it's free. You know, we can all do it, and there is real healing power in just that still, silent connection with. Be still and know that I am God.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Now, you that are not speaking, I assume you're doing anything?
I was going to say, I don't have anything for you.
Oh, that's not.
But the only thing I really do is I thank God a lot.
Yeah,
Well, that's good.
Wonderful.
And that is my prayer when I feel like I can't sleep. I feel that God is trying to talk to me, so I try to listen. But on the whole, it's just that this is new to me, and I was talking to my nephew the other day, and he began to tell me about all this stuff. I was like, are you serious?
Is he in the church?
No, he's in the Maryland area.
No, Maryland.
So, but he's always talking this stuff, asking stuff. He's incredible. He's
Wow.
incredible. So I'm trying to get him to tune into you.
Yeah.
But he seems to know a lot about it. But because I'm the kind of person that I gotta know why. And if you don't tell me why, it doesn't make any sense to me. Because I call myself a beaver. And if the dam isn't built correctly, I just won't mess with the water.
Well, I understand. I'm kind of a why person too, as much as I can be, and that's what started it, was why. Why am I here? Why? So why is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. So, anybody else?
Well, I had an epiphany during all of this. At the first paragraph on page 24 where it's talking about, to understand the process of thinking, we should have a general idea of its origin, function, and physical focal point. And it went off in my head that, you know, I've always been trying to, for a long time, trying to figure out what is the role of ego. It's just, you know, why would it be here if it wasn't for a purpose, you know? And so checking in with the three things, origin, function, and the physical focal point, clicked with me. Okay, the origin of the ego. This message that I just said to myself that was divisive of me and something else, what is the origin of that thought? Is it a message I heard before? Was it an experience I had? What is the origin of it? The function of it. Was it to keep me separate? Was it to dumb me down, to block my thinking, my ability to move forward, to do something intentionally, and all those kind of things? And so it kind of reminded me of, you know, when you're getting ready to make a change in your life, you're examining or moving or something, you know, where am I going to go? Why am I going to go there? All those kinds of things, you know, pulled together, and it just suddenly made me feel so much more peaceful. I can deal with some of these ego issues and self-talk issues that I have if I examine it through these three things and, you know, figure out what that is, and it just seems like a great deal of relief.
Good, good. Maybe we should look at those three things a little more closely and not evoke it. Yes, Karen?
I do a lot of things the other people have already mentioned about. I'm meditating now twice a day, and I do mirror affirmations, I am affirmations. I do a lot of spiritual readings. I journal. A couple times a week I send out Reiki energy. But something that just came to me, which to me is important, if I have a problem or an illness, I try to figure out, is there a spiritual lesson I need to learn from this? And as soon as I figure out what it is, the problem disappears.
Yes. The truth will make you free, right? Make you free. Very good. Well, this is, yes.
Let me say one more thing, because as I'm sitting here, yesterday, a friend of mine, we've been friends for like 30 years, and was talking about in the nature when I first came, he was talking about that. And this friend of mine was in the hospital, never called me or anything. I just so happened to pick up the phone and call him, and he told me he was in the hospital. And for some reason, I became so angry that he didn't call me and tell me that that was his situation. And I didn't want to feel anger, and I'm still angry. I'm pissed off. So, and it's just, it gives me chills to think about how upsetting that was, and it just makes me so angry.
Well, I would stay with that in your meditation, contemplation time, and ask what is that about, and why is it still here? Again, I think it's showing you something in the nature of your thinking. Yeah, and I don't think that anger is like angry at. I think it's an anger about something. I can't try to tell you what it is, but it's something trying to come up from the subconscious part of you that is an opportunity to heal that and move on from it. Yeah.
Yes, I think we need to deal with the fact that we all know we're going to die. We're the only species on Earth that knows that we're going to die.
No, we don't.
What do you mean? What other species on Earth?
I don't know. There will be a human species that will not die.
No, I mean right now. Right now. We all are going to die. We know that. So it's just a matter of taking care of ourselves.
Pass into a different vehicle.
Huh?
Maybe pass into a different vehicle.
Well, that's true too.
We just transition.
Transition, yeah.
Die and death is a loaded
Yeah.
term. Yeah, whatever that means. All right. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for coming, and thank you, Julie, for the exercise. And it looks like we're going to have some cool weather for several days, so bundle up and stay warm. And all right, take care. See you all Sunday, I hope. Oh, offering. Offering, important offering.